Hi, today we'll be learning how to make a crochet skirt. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video. It's a pencil skirt and you'll be needing your yarn, your hook. I'm using a 3.5mm hook, your tape rule and your scissors. So the first thing you have to know is the measurement of the person. For this person, her waist is 25, her hip is 35. Now you go ahead to make your foundation chain. You make your foundation chain to be as long as 25. For this particular skirt, we'll be making the band separately, like last, rather, not separately. We'll be making the band last. So since we're making the band last, the band is actually going to squeeze the crochet top, like the skirt, the top part of the skirt. The band will squeeze it. That's why we're actually making this to the person's actual waist measurement, because it will actually increase. So without stretching, this is 25. So when it stretches, it can get to like 29 or 30, and as you're even walking, it will be increasing. Why you have to make it to this 25 is her hip is 35, and you know the hip is larger than the waist, so it will be able to pass through. Don't forget the waist part will have a rope that you can use to make it your actual size. So you start your foundation chain and make your chain as long as your waist measurement without stretching. You can see this, right? So if I stretch it, at least it gets to 28. Probably as I walk more, it would increase. After that, you will now need to do the joining. So you place your work straight like this, straight. You don't have to twist it. Make sure it is straight. So when you place your work straight, make sure your work is straight, like not twisted at all. You now insert. I'm trying to make this straight, so I won't make any mistake. You now insert your hook into the last stitch and make a slip knot. So this is what you have. If you're to check it out on the tape rule, this is about, when stretched, is about 28 when stretched. So after doing that, you chain 2. You go directly into the next stitch. So you start making double crochet into every stitch. Make sure you don't skip any stitch. Make sure you don't skip any stitch at all. So if you should skip a stitch, your work will reduce. That's why I'm sounding it. Make sure you don't skip any stitch. So you keep going and make sure it's straight. You don't have to twist it this way. If not, you'll make mistake. Trust me. Make sure when you're walking, it is straight. As you're getting closer, keep making it straight, because at any point you twist your work, then you have to start all over from the beginning. So I'll meet you up when I get to this part. I've almost gotten to the end of the row. So I'll go into the last stitch, and then you can see that my work is straight, right? I'll make a slip knot here on top the second one, and this is it. Let's check the measurement again. When stretched, can you see that is now at 26 when stretched? So as you keep working on it, it would take its right measurement. So now what you do next is you chain 2, you turn your work, you make sure you go directly into the next stitch. This is the next stitch. go directly into it. If you skip any stitch, your work will be smaller. So you continue with your double crochet into every stitch. You keep doing that, double crochet into every stitch. At this point, make sure your work is not too loose and also not too tight. So you keep doing that. Make sure it's straight, so don't twist it. Then you keep doing that round until you get to this part again. I'll meet up with it. I've almost gotten to the end of the second row, so I have one stitch left and I go into that stitch. Then I make my slip knot on top here. That's here. So that's all for the second row. Now you keep repeating this process. You chain 2, you turn your work, you go directly into the next. Please make sure you go into the next. You don't skip this and go into this. If not, your work will become smaller, and at this point you don't want your work to become smaller. So make sure you go into the next, please. It's very important. And you keep making your double crochet into every stitch. You keep making a double crochet into every stitch. So you keep doing that until you get to this part. When you get to this part, remember you make your slip stitch here. Then after that you chain 2 again, you turn your work. So you keep doing that until you get to 5.5 inches. So why it's going to be 5.5 instead of 7 is we are making a band of 1.5 inch up. So 1.5 plus 5.5 gives us 7. So you keep making this straight. Make sure you don't reduce until you get to 5.5 inches. When you get 5.5 inches, I will tell you what next to do from there. I've gotten to 5.5 inches now. So if you can see this measurement from here to here is 5.5 inches. So the next thing I have to do is I need to start my hip part. Remember I told you I'm going to do the band about 1.5 inches. So, and I said from the band to where the hip will start is 7. So I'm placing this like this, and you're going to see that it is exactly at 7. That's taking away the 1.5 inch. Taking away the 1.5 inch, you see that it's at 7. When you want to start your hip part, you make your work equal. This is the center. You can see this is the center part. So you can either choose to probably just fold it this way, even though you can't get the equal part by just merely looking at it. You fold it, then this is what you do. You get your stitch marker if you have one. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can get a pin, put it at the edge, right at the edge of one part, then also at the edge of the second part of the skirt. You've put it on this part already, put it at the edge of the second part of the skirt. So this is it. Now you open it up and you start working. So you chain 2, you turn your work. This I have to join here because my yarn got finished. So let me teach you how to weave in your yarns. Instead of cutting it off, I do weave mine in. So what I do is I just hold it this way, then after chaining and turning my work, I insert into the next stitch. Oh, I skipped one stitch. Make sure you don't skip any stitch. Remember, we are trying to weave this in. So I hold it, or I can just twist it together like this, put it at the back, right? Then when I'm inserting, I make sure my yarn pass through this. See, it's still remaining. Insert, make sure your yarn carries this along. you have to make sure it carries the 2 along. So it's just remaining small, so you do the same thing. You can see I've put the yarn in, you won't see it again. Instead of cutting, then just continue what you've been doing, double crochet into every stitch. So you keep doing double crochet into every stitch up until you get to this part. I'll meet you up from there. I've gotten to the part where I put my stitch marker. So what I do is, in that hole where my stitch marker is, I can just remove it, right? When I remove it, in that hole I make 2 double crochet in the same hole. 2 double crochet in the same hole. Then I can put my stitch marker back, that's in the middle of the 2 I made. I can just insert my stitch marker back so that I won't lose track of this point. Then I continue 1 double crochet into every other stitch. It's just here alone that you put 2 double crochet, but others you continue 1 double crochet each. So you keep doing that until you get to this next point. I'll meet you from there. Now I've gotten to the next part where I put my stitch marker. So I'll do the same thing I did at the other part. I'll remove it. In that hole where I removed it from, I'll make 2 double crochet. Then I'll put it back at the center of those 2 double crochet, and I'll continue 1 double crochet into every stitch until I get to this part. When I get to this part, I'll tell you what next to do. I've gotten to the end. I'll make my slip stitch. I chain 3. It's on my work. So I continue what I've been doing. You keep on making 1 double crochet into every stitch until you get to this part. I'll tell you what to do when I get here. I've gotten to the part where I put my stitch marker, this middle. What you just do is you take off the stitch marker, you make 1 each. For this part, you're not making 2 in 1 hole. You make 1 each, 1 each, just as you've been doing in other parts. But then after making 1 each, that's, you know, this is the middle, and we made 1 here and 1 here. You just take your stitch marker and put it at the middle, this part, not here. You put it here and close it. Then you continue 1 each into every stitch. So don't forget, for the first part we did 2 double crochet in 1 stitch. Now for the next line, we did 1 each into every stitch. There was nothing like 2 in 1 stitch. Even at this place we put our stitch marker, 1 into every stitch. If you keep making 2 2 2 2 into every stitch, like just 2 2 per row, you end up getting a flare skirt. But now we're trying to make a pencil skirt, and that's why we are doing it this way. So I'll tell you what to do. You keep doing this until you get to this part. I'll tell you what next to do. I've gotten to the second stitch marker, so you just take it off and make 1 double crochet into each stitch, just as we did here. 1 double crochet into each stitch. After doing that, you take your stitch marker back and put it inside the second stitch, just the same thing we did here, and you continue your work until you get to this part. When you get to this part, you do the normal thing. your slip stitch and you turn back. So when you turn back, I'll tell you what next to do from here. I'm here now. So this was the part I put the stitch marker. I'll remove it and make 2 double crochet in that same stitch, 2 double crochet in the same stitch, just as we did here. 2 double crochet in the same stitch. Then you continue 1 double crochet into every stitch. Okay, after doing your 2 double crochet in that same stitch, just put the stitch marker in the middle. Remember, for this line we didn't put it in the middle, we put it around like here, but this one, put it in the middle of the 2 double crochet and continue. I'll meet you up from here. I've gotten to the next part where my stitch marker is, so I take off my stitch marker from there and I insert 2 inside the same stitch. 2 inside the same stitch. Remember, this was the place we did 2 inside the same stitch. The next row we did 1. Now this row 2. Then you put your stitch marker back in the middle of those 2 and you continue 1 1 into every stitch. So this is the process of expansion. This is just the process of expanding your skirts. So this is it. You put 2 in this hole. The next row you make everything 1 1 1 1 1 round. You're not putting 2 in any stitch. Then the next row, when you get where your stitch marker is, you put 2 in the point your stitch marker is. Same thing you do for this part. Then when you get to the next row again, you make everything 1 1 1, even where your stitch marker is 1 1 1. So you keep doing 2, the next row 1, the next row 2, the next row 1. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So if you can see this, my skirt now, it's beginning to expand, like it's beginning to form the flare, the hip part rather, not the flare, the hip part. See, it comes like this, like this. You're seeing it, right? It's beginning to form the hip part. So for this process, I'll continue this process until I get to 10 inches, because this particular person is not hipsy. If it's someone that is very hipsy, you have to do it to like 10.5 inch before you stop the hip part. But since she's not hipsy, I'll be doing it to just 10. When I say 10 inches, including the band, right? So when you want to measure, you just take away your 1.5 for the band. And right now I'm in 8, so it's remaining just 2 for me to get to 10. So from here, 1.5. But if you don't take off your 1.5, you see it, so you have to take off your 1.5, because definitely we are still going to make the band here. Assuming you're not making a skirt with a band, you're just making a skirt that is just like this, and that's when you can start your measurement from here. And from here you do to 7. From 7 you do your increment from 7 to 10.5 or 10, depending on the size you're working on. So since this is going to have a band, I'm taking off my 1.5 for my band, and I increment here from here. You can see it, right? So from here, and I'll do this until I get to 10, because her hip is 35. She's not really hipsy, she's kind of small. So I'll do this to 10, and when I get to 10, I'll tell you what next to do. Don't forget, you do, when you get to the part your stitch marker is, you do like this. This row I stopped now is 2, right? 2 in 1 stitch. The next 1 in all the stitches. The next, when you get where your stitch marker is, 2 in 1 stitch. Don't forget, 2 1, the next row 2, the next row 1, and like that until you get to either 10 or 10.5, depending on the size you're working on. So when I get to 10 inches, I'll meet you up from there. I've gotten to 10 inches. I've gotten to 10 inches. So this is it. The next thing for you to do is to chain 3, turn your work, and start start repeating the process you did from the top, that's from here till you got to your 7th inch, which is you're no longer doing two double crochet in one stitch. Now until you get to your desired length, you keep doing 1 double crochet into every stitch. We are done with the hip parts of the wear, so you can just take off your stitch marker because we are done with the hip parts. So you might not need your stitch marker again. So all you need to do is you keep making 1 double crochet round, you keep going into every stitch, 1 double crochet round until you get to your desired length. I'll be making this skirt to be length 16. So since I'm already in 10 inches, just remaining 6 more inches for me, I'm done with this skirt because she actually wants it to be short. So if you want to do something longer, you have to take the person's measurement and ask the person where you want the skirt to stop. For me, this person wants a mini skirt, so I'll be doing size 16 actually for her. So when I'm done with this down part of the skirt, I would tell you how to work on the band. So this is the final length of the skirt. When you take off your 1.5 inch, so my skirt is 16 inches in total. That's because she wants a mini skirt, as I said earlier. So now I'll be teaching you how to work on the band. Take your yarn and you insert your yarn. You can start from anywhere. Let's assume you want to start from the back. This is the back. This is the back because of the joining. That's this. If I don't know if you can see clearly, it's not that visible, but these lines. So this is the back of the skirt. So you start from there. If you want to, you can start from the edge if you want to also. Now watch this clearly. You insert like this. Normally when we are doing the crochet, you are inserting up here, but this one you insert like this. So now take your yarn, you pull out from that place, then you yarn 2. When you yarn 2, you can go ahead and tie the part that's the beginning part, so that it won't lose. So that's 2. Now the next thing you're meant to do, when we wanted to start, we entered this way, right? So the next one, now you're going to enter from under to the next hole, under to the next hole. Sorry, that's double crochet. Okay, this is even the next hole. You go from here to this place. I don't know if you're getting this clearly. Now for the next one, which is this, you go from top like this. Are you seeing it? Through under, then you pull through, yarn over, you pull through, yarn over, you pull through again. So that is up, down, up. Now the next one, for the last one we just did, we went this way. Now for this one, instead of going this way, you put your crochet pin under, like this. This is how you're going to pass it, under, then from under to the top to the next hole. Are you seeing it? Sorry, under to the top to the next hole, then you pull it out, you make your normal double crochet. Now for the next stage, the next step rather, you do the same thing. Like this one now is going up from, you choke it this way, pass through under and enter into the next hole, then you pull out, make your double crochet. Now the next one, this one we did it like this, so the next one will go from under to up, back to under, double crochet. This one up, this one you go like this, So I don't really know if you're getting this explanation right. The next one, you go from here. So it's just like this one, you go from here, while this one, you go from here. So it's just like one up, one under, one up, one under. If you can see what is forming, one up, one under, one up, one under, one up, one under. So now the last one we did was under, so now we are going up. And whenever you want to go up, you're starting from here, like you take it from here, you go in. Then when you want to do under, you take it from under, you know, not from here, from under, not here. You took it this way. So just watch this video carefully, you understand how I'm doing it. So you keep doing it that way, up under, up under, up under. So I'll meet you up when we get to the part where we start from. We'll go around with this until we get to this place. When we get to this place, I'll tell you what to do. I've almost gotten to the end, so I think the last one I'm to go from under. So what you do is you just insert your hook here and make a slip stitch. So that's for row 1. Row 2, you chain. Not compulsory to turn your work though for this band, you can just continue round and round. So now the next one, you chain 3. The next one, I don't know if you can see this clearly, the next one is under. See this, the next one is under, so you go through under. Now the next one is on top, so you make your double crochet. After that one, you go to the next. This is the next, and it is under, so you pass through under, you enter. It's very easy, it's just for you to understand the logic behind it. Now this one, the next is up, right? So you go up with your double crochet. Now the next is under, you just insert. So that's how you keep going. This is up and the next is under. This is up and the next is under. This is up, the next is under. Don't make a mistake, you're not going into these ones here, you're just like grabbing the entire double crochet. So you are grabbing this, then when you are going for the under one, you are grabbing, see the next one here, this. So you are grabbing it, but through the back now, not this way. You're grabbing it through the back. So you keep doing that on and on until you get to where you started from, which is here. When we get to this point, I'll meet you. I've almost gotten to the end now, so this is it. You make your slip stitch. So this is just what you keep doing. You chain 3 now. You can see the next one here is under, so you go under with your double crochet. Sorry, you go under with your double crochet. Now the next is up, the next is under, the next is up. This is the process you do until you get to the size of your band. Like I said, this band is going to be 1.5 inch, so I'll do this till I get 1.5 inch, and that's about, I think, 4 to 5 rows. So this is the 3rd row now. So when I'm done with this 3rd row, when I end here, I'll continue until and it's kind of stretchy. I think now this is about 1 inch. Yeah, I'm right. So at least maybe 1 or 2 more rows will make it 1.5. I think 1 more inch will make it 1.5. 1 more row will make it 1.5. So this is all you keep doing till you get to the size of your band. After now, I'll show you the final outcome of the skirt. So this is what the band looks like. and I'm done with my skirts. I'm done with the skirts. The next thing to do now is the rope. So you just fold your, like you pull out your yarn and fold it like this. After pulling out a very long yarn, like you fold it into 4 places like this, then you make your slip knot and start crocheting the entire 4. You make a rope as long as it can go around your skirt. Don't make it too tight so it will look beautiful. So when I get to the length I want, I'll show you how to pass it through the skirt. I'm done with the rope and I want to start inserting it. So I'm starting from the back because the rope is going to the front. So all I need to do is I just insert, pull out, then I make both sides equal. So I'll start from one side. I can just leave 2, move into the third one, pull out. You can see I'm doing it at the tip, not here. It's supposed to be at the tip, so I leave 2, pull out. Just do it this way until I get to the middle. I'm almost at the middle part. Like when you place your skirt through it like this, make sure it's equal so you know when you get to the middle. You know when you get to the middle. I'm almost at the middle now. So I guess like this is the middle of my skirt. This is the middle of my skirt. So I'll do the same thing from this part up to here. When I get to this part, I'll show you the final outcome. So the end of the skirt, end part of the skirt, this is the outcome.